Welcome back to Rocket Talk. It is now episode 59, and once again, I am here with Johnny, and once again, Connor is still fired. This time, I guess work is an important thing, I guess.
Wow.
I don't see...
They're gonna make money, okay.
Yeah, but this episode is just a tad late, just because of scheduling, but we want to get this out now, so that way it is right before we get all these big announcements, because it is all about E3 today. It's all about our wishes and some of our predictions that we think are going to happen with E3 and Summer Games Fest and just all this other stuff that is going to be happening over these next couple weeks. And then be sure to tune in next couple weeks after as we give our thoughts on a lot of the big things like Nintendo and Microsoft's big press conferences as well, and what things we're looking forward to the most of that. But before we jump into it, Johnny, let's do a quick bev check. What are you having this evening?
So I have got an orange juice with blueberry. It's one of those Simply Orange flavors, but I just saw it the other day, and
wait, orange juice with blueberry, not the lemonade one?
Oh no, that's what it is. Yep,
okay, sorry. I was gonna say, wait, what? Oh, I love the blueberry Simply lemonade.
Yeah, lemonade with blueberry, and yeah, it's good. It's not as good as I was expecting to be honest.
I don't know. That's a goat Simply Lemonade flavor in my opinion. But I also am a slut for any berry lemonade. The best flavor of the powder G Fuel is Shiny Splash, which is just blueberry lemonade. It's quite tasty. And the best Kool-Aid flavor is blueberry lemonade. So, I mean, blueberry lemonade is just the best flavor of everything.
Blueberry is very good. I don't think I've ever had blueberry lemonade. I've only had raspberry lemonade.
I do like that too.
But very, I mean, it's good. But I think I was just, I don't know what I was expecting. It's just a little sour for me, but that's okay.
That's what all, like the Simplies are pretty tart.
Yeah.
And I'm a big slut for tart lemonade. The, like the lemonade you can get at like Raising Cane's and Chick-fil-A. Those are nice and tart, so I do enjoy those.
That does sound pretty good, but it's I'm gonna give it another shot. I'm drinking it now, and it's not too bad, but I think I'm getting more used to it as I drink more. So, what about you? What are you drinking?
I am having a Red Hair Brewing Company Grapefruit SPF 50/50. So it is a IPA Radler mix. So I know for people like Johnny who drink a ton of beer, obviously, they know exactly what that means. No, but so it's an Indian Pale Ale, which is those like more bitter, hoppy beers, and a Radler mix. So basically it's like an IPA with like grapefruit juice in it. So the grapefruit juice really gets all of that bite out of there, and it makes it a very like nice and like light drink. Like this is another one of those that I feel like would be perfect to have on a hot summer day at the pool, which I know those like Johnny in Minneapolis right now are burning up because it is quite toasty up there.
It is.
And so I'm sure for those who enjoy beer, this would be a nice choice. It's a local brewery out of Marietta, Georgia, which is an Atlanta metro area, and then Charlotte, North Carolina. So they're based out of both those places, but I'm a big fan of this. They have a tangerine version as well, but I like the grapefruit one just a little bit more. But that is mine.
Yum,
and then
yum.
Hopefully Connor's drinking some nice water at work.
Yeah, Connor, drink some water. Drink more water.
Yeah, Connor. But let's get into things with E3. So I mean, we've already kind of started to get some of the pre-E3 stuff because there has already been a few streams that other companies have done. One of them was I forget the name of it right now, but there's a smaller event that was this past weekend where a bunch of indie titles got announced, and we're going to be seeing a few more, but a lot of the brunt of the E3 stuff is starting this weekend. I know the Summer Games Fest kickoff show is starting Thursday the 10th, and a lot of the big press conferences are starting Saturday the 12th. But so we're getting a lot of our stuff here this year, just like we have in the past. After last year was a little different because of the pandemic, but one of the changes this year is that E3 came back but also they still have that competition with Summer Games Fest returning after it was basically the replacement for E3 2020. So, Johnny, I know this is one of your favorite times of the year. So, how hyped are you now that we're at what is essentially Christmas time for those in the gaming sphere?
I'm super hyped. I think that this is going to be one of the best E3s that we've seen in a long time. I it's kind of because I think after it got canceled last year, I'm guessing all of the companies, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and all the smaller companies, they all wanted to plan for 2 years of being away rather than just the 1 year, and so I think that they're going to put all of their best things worth 2 years worth of good material into a press conference, and it's going to be, if you're not absolutely destroying this event, then you're going to fail, because I guarantee that it's going to be this is going to be the year to buy games. Like, we've seen a pretty nasty drought for all kinds of media, TV, movies, and video games the past year. So, you know, it's going to be, you better be saving your money, because there's going to be a lot more stuff we're going to be spending our money on in the next year.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah,
it's
there's.
going to be big.
I mean, we even got it today. The day of our recording was when Battlefield 2042 got its official announcement and reveal trailer after many, many, many leaks, almost as bad as the leaks we were seeing with the Sonic Colors remaster. But that just got announced, and that'll be a huge thing for first-person shooter fans like myself, with the series taking a new direction of going to the slight future, because they've mainly been a historical-based shooter outside of one title that was in the vast future in 2142. But all the other ones have been either World War I, World War II, Vietnam, or modern times. So them going in that slight future will be a lot different. But like I mentioned too, as well, there has been some other conferences that we've had with the Guerrilla Collective Day 1, where they announced a bunch of indie titles, including actually a collaboration with Jay and Silent Bob. It's called Jay and Silent Bob Chronic Blunt Punch. So it looks like a like the Scott Pilgrim game, or Streets of Rage, like a classic 2D style beat 'em up. So that looks like a ton of fun. I'm sure Court is going to love that. There was a bunch of other different variety of indie games coming to PC, PlayStation, Switch, Xbox as well. So there's that. But the big brunt of it is starting this weekend with Summer Games Fest and IGN doing some things, and then the first big conference is Ubisoft's Forward event on Saturday, June 12th. But just what press conferences are you thinking you're looking forward to the most, Johnny? And then why would that be? I mean, I feel like I know what your number one answer is going to be, but what's a conference or conferences that you are looking forward to the most?
Well, yeah, I will say that it's pretty obvious that the one I'm most hyped about is Nintendo's Direct. It's going to be coming in on it's one of the last ones, if not the last one, which is a bummer for me. But I will say that outside of that, because I could talk about that for a long time. Outside of that, I am excited for PlayStation. This is going to be the first time where I am watching an E3 Direct, and I am an owner of a console other than Nintendo. So I'm pretty excited, because it'll be, excited is one thing that I'm feeling, but also kind of nervous, because I kind of want there to not be a lot of stuff that I want from PlayStation, just for financial reasons. So I'm, as much as I am excited to buy games for PlayStation, I'm also like, wow, I've got such a backlog of games that I need to get already, and then I need to play them. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's a light year for me personally, but like for PlayStation fans, please send out the biggest and best stuff, because it's been 2 years since a lot of us have gotten really good, since we've gotten an E3. So PlayStation is something I'm really looking forward to. just because it's a whole different ball game when it comes to video games compared to Nintendo.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully we get their announcement soon, because they have not given us when their showcase is going to be. They aren't part of the whole E3 thing. They weren't part of the E3 conference in 2019. They were like EA and a couple other companies that split off it. But yeah, we're still waiting on their announcement. But that is definitely one that I am looking forward to, because even though we haven't had as much of these big collaborations and conferences. Sony is coming off of a really good year in terms of their first party output. There was actually, before we recorded this, there was a tweet I saw that it had the Metacritic scores for all of the first party PlayStation games that had come out since February of 2020. And so you have things like The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and even some smaller titles, Dreams, and the Iron Man VR game, and like all but a couple of them, their review scores are in the average of the 8.0s and up and stuff like that. So like Sony's right on a really good high right now, and while it is hard to find a PS5 and most other technology things right now because of the chip shortage that's going on, when the PS5s have gone out and been able to be purchased, they have gone up like hotcakes, and so it is definitely something that a lot of people are buying a lot of, and it's a good time to be a Sony fan, like Johnny mentioned. That would be definitely one of mine that I'm most excited for. But out of the ones announced, I think the ones I'm looking forward to is also Nintendo, and then as well as what Microsoft and Bethesda are doing, because they're going to do a joint together, since Microsoft did purchase Bethesda this past year, and so they're going to do ones together. So that'll be nice to see, like what are these Bethesda games that we've known about that were scheduled to come to PlayStation. How many of them are still going to come to PlayStation? What titles are we going to see become Xbox exclusive or launching first on Xbox, and how this new dynamic's going to work with them, because it is going to be something that we're going to see some of these titles that are going to be Xbox console exclusive, but that's why they bought them. So I'm not going to be as upset about it. If I really want those games, then yeah, maybe I'll have to invest in an Xbox or a good PC, but I'm not worried about any of the franchises that I do like from Bethesda, like Doom and Wolfenstein. Even though I'm not much of a Elder Scrolls fan or a Fallout fan, I know that those games are going to come to PlayStation, so because it'd be dumb to not put the successor to Skyrim or to the Fallout series onto the PlayStation systems, because of just how big those games are for the gaming culture. But yeah,
I mean, even I've played those games before. Well, no, I've never played Skyrim, but I have played the one before it.
Oblivion,
yeah. Briefly. I think I liked it. If I remember right, I liked it. I just didn't play it much. And then Fallout, I played Fallout 3, and that was really good. But yeah, if it does come to a PlayStation and it is backwards compatible to PlayStation 4, I will gladly get it. I'm a little bummed because I do have a PlayStation 4, and all of the games that I have on my list are backwards compatible except for one, which is the one I want most, which is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Reviews just came out for it today, and everyone's saying it's amazing. You don't have to be a big Ratchet fan to like it. You don't even have to know the story, really. Not that there really is much of a story, but in previous games. But in this one, it's apparently the story's really good. The characters are good, but I'm sure we're gonna get more content with DLC stuff of Ratchet in the future, and hopefully we can get news on more PS5s being available to the public. That would be great.
Yeah, well, that all depends on when chips are available, because like I said too, this is a thing that's actually the reason why it's hard.
I know.
But for the listeners who don't know either, Yeah, the reason it's so
Yeah.
hard to find a PS5 right now and Xboxes is because there's actually a chip shortage, and that's going to affect new cars and like new phones as well. But yeah, it's still just as frustrating because there's people that have tried for months to try to get one and they can't get it, and then they're sure I did get lucky and I was able to get mine, and a few of my friends were, but I know others like Johnny who were not able to get one, even though they've tried to, just because of how quickly they go once GameStop or some company puts them up on their website to buy.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got a PS4 handed down to me now, so there's a lot of games on my list. Even if there's some that aren't playable on PS5, at least there's a long list of games that I can still get now that I wasn't able to play without a PlayStation at all. So I'm still pretty happy. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So, what are some of the big announcements that you are looking forward to? I know you mentioned you're excited to see what does come from Sony, from Nintendo, but like, what are some of like the specific big announcements that you are looking forward to?
So there's quite a lot, but two of the biggest ones. One of them is Breath of the Wild 2, and I think that's kind of a given at this point. I think it's pretty like likely, pretty well known that that's coming. Some kind of reveal trailer is going to be there. Maybe it's going to be a gameplay trailer or the official name of the game. And even some people are even speculating it'll be releasing in the fall, which, oh my God, if that's going to happen, that's going to be insane. But I'm hoping for that. I'm really curious of how they can up themselves. Like, at this point, I kind of feel like they have to go out of Hyrule, and that needs to be a brand new world altogether, because a lot of people are speculating that Hyrule is going to be explorable again, and like if they do that, it's kind of already been done, so it's really hard to explore something again and have fun with it. But we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they could make a new world, and I'm really excited to see what it is. The second one is one that I've been wanting for years and really thought that would never happen, but now is seeming like there's a likely possibility, and that's a 3D Donkey Kong game. A lot of talk has been happening about that as well, that the people who made Mario Odyssey are going to be making a 3D Donkey Kong game as well, and if that's the case, I actually might be more excited about that than Breath of the Wild. Don't get me wrong, Breath of the Wild's great, but like I've been, Zelda gets a new game every single year. Donkey Kong has not had a new game in a long time. I mean, Tropical Freeze, the newest one, was great on the Switch, but it was a port from the Wii U, and I was joking a few episodes ago, before our break, that there were 3 Splatoon games since the last Donkey Kong game came out, Donkey Kong Country game came out, and that is just absurd. Like, don't get me wrong, Splatoon is great, it's selling great, but I still think with the new IP, it's like compared to how iconic Donkey Kong is, it should be getting more love than it has been. I've thought that 4 years into the Switch's life is pretty overdue for a Donkey Kong game, and I'm sure that the Tropical Freeze port helped tide it over a little bit, but I mean, for a big DK fan like me, I'm a little shocked that it's taken this long to get something on the Switch with that's DK. So and that's just a rumor, a pretty likely rumor from a lot of different sources. But yes, if we can get a DK game, short answer long, I guess. If we can get a DK game on the Switch and announced at E3, then I will be the happiest Donkey Kong fan.
Yeah, because Tropical Freeze, the original version on the Wii U, came out in 2014, and the last other Donkey Kong game we got was the last Mario versus Donkey Kong game, Tipping Stars, which came out in 2015.
I don't count that.
So there hasn't been a game where Donkey Kong's name is in the title in 6 years, 7 if you are counting one where like he is like the main one behind it. And then before that, you got to go back to If you want to ignore the Mario versus Donkey Kong series, you have to go back to Returns in 2010, and then all of those other like Barrel Blast and Jungle Climber, and then all those other like more spin-offy games for ones like that as well. So it's been a while, and then for a true 3D platformer, it's it's DK64
'99. Yeah.
So yeah, you have you have over 20 years of not having one, even if we've gotten some other games in other styles. So, and yeah, what better team than the Mario Odyssey team, which has made arguably one of the greatest 3D platformers with Mario Odyssey at the helm for it. So yeah, this would definitely be a win for a lot of people. I would definitely see myself adding that to my list of Switch games that I would
really
be wanting. Yeah, of course. Like
That's awesome.
I would. It wouldn't probably be like there. There's a couple games like when they announced Mario Golf. I'm buying this right away. But there's ones that are in there. While of course these are some of these games I don't have, but like Luigi's Mansion 3 or some of those other ones like that, where I was like, ooh, if this turns out to be good, I might add this to my list of games I want to get down the line. And then I haven't bought Luigi's Mansion 3, even though like it does look like I would probably enjoy it. But like I think that'd be in there as well. Is with how well Mario Odyssey is, and like if I had some extra cash lying around and I was looking for a new game for my Switch, then if it's good enough, I would probably see myself buying it. Yeah.
Okay. Would you be looking at the sequel of Breath of the Wild?
Well, I had to play the copy of Breath of the Wild that I got from a lovely friend all the way through first before I was doing that.
Yeah, you would. And you have roughly 6 days until news comes out about the sequel. So
allegedly news comes about the sequel. Who knows?
Yes.
Nintendo could also not give us any news.
Whoa, that doesn't seem like a possibility.
That's a very Nintendo thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I would see myself buying a Donkey Kong 3D platformer. Even though Connor is not here, I did also ask him some of the big things that he's looking forward to as well. One of them is he's interested to see what is going to be going on with Halo Infinite, since they've had that more time to work on it, fix it up. Because I don't remember if you remember last year, Johnny, but when they showed that gameplay, it looked like a early Xbox 360 game, not something that was supposed to be your flagship Xbox Series X title. So
absolutely.
So and all that time to beef it up, make it look better. Hopefully that is a good showing, because the series kind of needs it. A lot of dedicated fans from the past did not like Halo 5 that much, so this will definitely be something that can win back a lot of fans if it's well enough. And then he also is hoping to hear some news on Skull and Bones from Ubisoft, and he thinks that has a high chance of being brought back from the dead. And then obviously too, like he as well is looking forward to any potential Breath of the Wild news to get him also excited as well.
How did he, Luke? How did he word it? His excitement.
So he said also Breath of the Wild 2 gets my dick hard. So Connor is very excited for some potential news for Breath of the Wild 2.
If you're listening, Miyamoto, then that's how
big listener. Shigeru Miyamoto, big listener of Rocket Talk podcast.
He's a big fan, longtime fan of Rocket Talk. So,
but yeah, for me, I think one of the bigger ones that I am and hoping to see is hopefully just some more news of what these other companies at Sony are doing. The biggest one is, even though they just announced it's not going to come out this year and it's going to wait till next year, hopefully get some more news on the sequel to 2018's God of War. That and Marvel's Spider-Man are probably the two best PlayStation 4 exclusives that I've played. I did not play Horizon Zero Dawn, and I have not played Ghost of Tsushima yet, which has also gotten a lot of praise. But things like The Last of Us Part 2 and Infamous Second Son and a lot of the other Sony exclusives that I have played, I would say that God of War and Spider-Man are probably two of the best. And so we already got a spin-off successor with Miles Morales that came out on PS4 and PS5, and we're supposed to be getting God of War Ragnarok or whatever, or the God of War that takes place with Ragnarok. So hopefully we get more information, maybe if that is the title or what it will be titled, even though we're not going to get it this year. Same with Gran Turismo 7 as well. That's another title that was supposed to come out this year that's been seemingly pushed back. And I am holding out hope still that even though we had the Sonic Central live stream a couple weeks ago, that Sega is still going to put out more stuff during E3 and Summer Games Fest. And I hope that we can get maybe a surprise drop of a port of some of the other Sonic games, because we are getting the original trilogy early next year with CD as well. But I hope we can get maybe the adventure games and Heroes together in a collection. That'd be nice, similar to what we got with Mario last fall. But that would definitely be more of a very dream one. It'd be nice to get some news about Spyro, of the alleged new title, similar to what we got with Crash 4 as well. But I think the biggest things that I'm looking forward to is whenever we do get Sony's, is what's the new God of War looking like? What is Gran Turismo 7 looking like in development in terms of its release? But yeah, I'm excited to see what we get from there.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, just you talking about it, all of those games makes me excited to be a PlayStation owner, and it's hopefully I was right in predicting that this is going to be a big year, not just for Nintendo but for PlayStation and Microsoft as well. But we will see. Only time will tell. In 6 days, less than that.
Oh, I did forget too. One other one is we're gonna get our next announcement for Smash. I'm sure. So hopefully we are getting the announcement of Mr. Crash Bandicoot. That'd be wonderful to see him in the game.
Bet I can almost guarantee, because I work at Nintendo, of course, that we're going to get the last 2 Smash reveals at this E3.
Probably, yeah, like we did a couple years ago when they announced Hero and Banjo.
Yep. I think it's going to be bookended. I think we're going to start with a Smash reveal and then end it. And I think this is just a nonsensical, no real reason behind it, just a prediction, is that let's say Crash is coming. He's obviously the third-party edition. I think that Crash will be coming in the beginning of the Direct, and then I think a first-party Nintendo character is going to be coming at the end of it. Perhaps a Breath of the Wild character. Maybe they end with the Breath of the Wild sequel announcement reveal, and then the sequel has an original character in it that is the last addition to Smash Bros. So Crash and some Breath of the Wild sequel brand new character is my prediction.
For sure, yeah. The Crash Twitter, people are looking very deep in a tweet and thinking that there was one that says Crash 25 before 25 and has a bunch of things that happened, and people are thinking, because there's a part of the of his checklist that's covered up, so they're thinking that is them teasing him going to be an addition in Smash, and there's a few other things they're saying that there's like a seal that is supposed to look similar to the old Smash logo from N64 as well. So it's definitely been one of the more requested third-party characters after we did get Banjo. So it would make sense, and even though he was never Sony's official mascot, he definitely was the unofficial mascot during the 90s. Was always in those things with the whole console wars of Crash versus Sonic versus Mario. So then being able to have that in the game would be crazy. And then also it'd be fun for the three of us, because of me being such a big Sonic fan, Johnny being a huge Banjo fan, and Connor's favorite game series being Crash Bandicoot. we could all play as our favorite characters from our childhoods in a game together, which it's just unheard of if you told someone that a while ago. It's always fun to be like, yeah, imagine telling someone X amount of years the rosters in Smash or in games like Fortnite, and they'd be like, no, that wouldn't happen.
Right.
And
like the fact that Cloud and Mr. Game & Watch and Princess Peach and Mewtwo can all fight each other is just like insane. But yeah, like I think that this is going to be I think we both kind of agree that Crash is pretty likely. Who then would be the final character? Who do you think is going to be the final character revealed? Let's say both of them are revealed during this E3. Or even if it's not, who do you think would be sitting alongside Crash in the final list?
That one's hard because I'm trying to think of, we outside of like joke characters like how everyone wants like Waluigi.
Right.
Like if it is a first party Nintendo character, I'm trying to think of honestly no other like really I can't think of a first party Nintendo character that would have as much pull of being like, whoa, a Smash character outside of Waluigi, and like he's just too much of a meme at this point that it just can't happen. Because technically Geno, Square Enix has the rights to him, but because like Geno would be up there as well, but another one, right? It's just too much of a meme that I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe if the sequel to Breath of the Wild pulled a Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and introduced a playable like alternate dimension female version of Link, like that could be like or like a similar thing like that where like one of their flagship games is getting a new title and there's a new playable character, and this is kind of their way to soft introduce the character with the marketing. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a first party. Another Fire Emblem character, I guess, because that's what they do. But no. There's a few other third party ones that would be nice. It'd be nice to get another character from the Sonic universe. Another thing they could do with it being his 30th anniversary. Someone like Shadow would be fun, but and there you could do enough that would set him apart where he's not just an Echo Fighter, but also like they could just make him an Echo Fighter. Where like Tails or Eggman would be a good addition and would be different enough that they could fit in the Smash universe. And then if it's Eggman, then it's another great villain to go up there with Sephiroth, Bowser, King K. Rool to be in there as well. So like in Ganon, like you'd have like super iconic villains from some of the biggest and the best video game series being able to fight each other. So that would be fun as well.
I certainly prefer Tails over Eggman, but I will say that if it's if it was Eggman, I would be happy to, just for the sake of like he'd probably be in a mech, which would make him a heavy, and the game doesn't have that many heavy characters, and they also don't have a lot of villains either. So yeah, it would be kind of nice to have another heavy villain. But I've gotten Banjo and K. Rool, like you said, who are my two favorite. Or two most requested from me personally, the most requested characters that I wanted, and now all I can want is what either you or Connor would want. And so like rather than my like number 3 being probably like Conker the Squirrel or Sora from Kingdom Hearts, I think because I've already gotten Banjo and K. Rool, I want Crash more than Conker and Sora, just because you guys, Connor especially, wants Crash, and I mean millions of other people want Crash too. So I'm hoping that that is what happens. We're only a few days away from finding out, because if there's anything that's guaranteed, besides Breath of the Wild sequel being announced, or title or whatever, it's that a Smash character will be revealed at E3. So hopefully it's Crash.
For sure. And so kind of thinking of some things that are going to happen, what is an announcement that you're expecting, even though you may not be looking forward to it? It's while it's not a specific one, I already know. Let's say the Nintendo Direct is roughly an hour. There's going to be a good 5 to 10 minutes in the middle of it that's going to be some random JRPG whether it's a one that a series that is coming to the Switch for the first time, or a Nintendo one, or a new one that's from the same makers of one that I'm just not gonna care about. Every year they
Yeah.
always have it. I appreciate what Dragon Quest means for RPGs, but I'm not much of an RPG person. So like a couple years ago when they had that whole thing about all the Dragon Quest games, I was just like, I sleep. What about you? Is there what's something that would be like that for you? What's an announcement you can think of that it's gonna get announced and you're just like, whatever. But like,
Well, that is kind of that is a part for me as well. Is that the JRPG part just doesn't, it's not big for me. Like I am also, I'm happy for the people who want it, just because just like I'm sure many of those JRPG fans don't really care about Donkey Kong. But that's a big part that I usually kind of like skip over. Like if I'm not watching it live, I definitely like, okay, I don't care, skip. But also a lot of the indie games is usually something I don't pay much attention to. But then as far as big titles, probably I want to say Metroid, like maybe Metroid. I've never been a big fan of the Metroid series. But Metroid Prime, everyone's talking about it, and if the original trilogy comes out and then 4 comes out, then maybe I'll look into it. But I guess also Kirby, probably. I'm not a huge Kirby fan, so they'd have to do something really huge to the Kirby series uh, to get me interested in it. But that was like 4 answers in one, but still.
some of the other, I mean, they still have been doing Kirby, but some of the other Nintendo properties that have been kind of in limbo, that we've either been told there's a sequel in development or it's expected to have one. So yeah, that makes sense though too, because not every Nintendo property is for you, but
Right.
I bet another one we're gonna get to. So we just got the trailer for the newest season of Fortnite, and one of the big things is now you can play as Rick from Rick and Morty, which he looks really weird because he's like a very like cell shaded cartoon look, and all the other characters have like a Fortnite look to him. So like you can play as like Fortnite Superman. So like it's Superman, but he like looks in line with the other characters, and same with Daryl and Michonne from The Walking Dead, and Kratos
Right.
from God of War. But then if you look at Rick, he stands out like a sore thumb. But
That's
I wouldn't be
amazing.
surprised if we got an announcement of another big name crossover during someone's press conference, whether that is a big Nintendo character coming over, because that's the one that hasn't happened. We've had Master Chief and we've had Kratos and some big names come over across different media, but we haven't seen Mario or Link or something like that. And so that would be huge if Nintendo were to do that, because you can play as Kratos on your Xbox, or you can play as Master Chief on the PlayStation if you own that skin. So that'd be huge if Nintendo was like, hey, here's this. But I would be surprised if we do get some sort of big Fortnite announcement as well, even though like I haven't played Fortnite in a long time, and like it's not even like remotely the same game it was when I was playing it all the time back in 2018.
I've only played one game and I got second place, and that
Went
is
out
the
on top.
high. What?
I said you went out on top.
I did. Yep, almost completely on top. So I was like, you know what? That's enough for me. Um,
Yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned at the start of it, a lot of the bulk of it is going to be over these next few days. We are going to be seeing, like we already started it with the Guerrilla Collective. I mean, technically, if you really want to say it, we started it with the Sonic Central was one of the first, E3 type of things that we got, since that was just a couple weeks ago. But a lot of the big ones we're getting over the next few days is an IGN Expo, the second day of Guerrilla Collective, Ubisoft Forward, Gearbox is going to have a showcase, the Xbox Bethesda game show, Square Enix is doing their own thing, Warner Brothers Gaming, Steam, Take-Two, Limited Run, Capcom, Nintendo, Bandai Namco. A lot of those are taking place between like the 10th and the 15th, 16th of June. But like I said, we don't know Sony what their plans are exactly just yet. We know they're going to be around this time, but we don't know what day and what time. But we're going to get a few more, including we're not getting EA's like E3 showing until EA Play in July. They're going to be showing some stuff off. One of the big things is with Battlefield, like I just mentioned, that got announced. They did announce today that they're going to show the first gameplay at some point on June 13th, but with EA Play not until July 22nd. Who knows when Sony will be? And Summer Games Fest with their whole announcement is they're going to be having events from now until Gamescom in August. So we're seeing E3 go from a week or a 2-week spectacle to now kind of a whole summer thing. Do you think that this is a good idea for places like EA to do these things so far removed from each other, or do you think it might have been better for EA to still do it like at their own time, so like they have the spotlight, but not this far in advance? Because by the time EA goes, that'll be over a month after everyone else has already announced all their things, and everyone's kind of forgotten about all the big announcements. So could that play in their favor, or do you think that them being so far away can kind of hinder them, because then everyone's going to be kind of out of the whole E3 mindset?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hurtful, don't you? I mean, it just seems like something that's like, yeah, like kind of like you said, it's a possibility that it's people are kind of over it by then. And I think a lot of people are already like, pre-ordering, saving money for other things, and for an announcement or a lot of announcements to come after all the E3 hype just sounds like not a good idea.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that too. I mean, hopefully EA is smart and it's more of them either announcing like future projects like a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, since that game ended on a perfect way to set up a sequel, and then like showing off what's going to be new in like Madden and FIFA and like the games that people were already buying, not as much of a ton of new stuff, and then any new stuff they announce it that so far like down the line, like stuff that's not coming out to early 2022, so people who've already been saving for a potential Breath of the Wild sequel or Gran Turismo 7 or whatever else could be coming in at the end of 2021, they're not saying, oh crap, now I also have to start saving for this new Star Wars game or this new whatever title EA is going to do. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because EA was one of the first that did split off of the whole E3 thing and did their own thing, but it's always been about a week before. Like they would do their EA Play, and then a lot of the first E3 press conferences were the week after.
Yeah, I think if you're going to separate from E3, be before it, but not after it.
Or if you mean after it, just like be like so close after it that it's like still kind of clumped in there.
Yeah, like days, like not even more than a week, I think, because news, like I don't remember what the saying is, but like news of it, just like the hype of the E3 is going to go away pretty quickly, but the people are already going to know what they want. So, like no one's going to really be talking about whoever like Crash or Smash, after a week after he's announced, but people are already going to be saving money to get him, the moment that he's announced. So no one's going to be wanting to spend money on anything that's more than a week after E3. So it's kind of a tricky spot for them, but maybe they've got a good selection of games to announce. We'll see.
Who knows? EA also one of these last couple years did they did it where their like press conference was like 4 hours long, and it was like who's gonna watch all this? Like no one. It's not like it was just way too long. It's like stop this. No one cares.
Yeah.
One of the other big names though that won't be there in any of this event is actually going to be Konami. They were originally planning on participating, but they didn't feel like they had any of their products ready in time to show, so they're gonna take it off, and then later on, maybe at Gamescom in August or some other type of big event down the line, maybe they can do one of theirs in the fall. We'll be seeing some more from Konami, but yeah, I'm real interested to see how this does pan out for EA. I think EA is definitely one of the ones that can probably get away with it just because they have so many yearly titles, so many like games as a service titles, that it can be more of what's coming to the new Madden and a couple things that are in development. That's not going to be as much of like Nintendo doing it so far away would be a very Nintendo thing. But it would be like, oh yeah, now someone like me who owns a PlayStation and a Switch has to now save up for a bunch of extra games that I was already saving for my big PS5 game. So I think that they might be able to get away with it, but it's still going to be very interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, though, if they get kind of hurt by this, and then some of their titles maybe don't sell as well of any new ones that get announced. This would be a good time for them to show off a lot of things, like a lot of the details for the new Battlefield game, like I mentioned with the sports games. But yeah, and any new titles coming out later in 2021, that's going to be pretty tough for them. So
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I am excited for all this. So, like you mentioned, depending on when you're listening to this, some of these might have already happened. Some of these may be going on a few days after you listen. But a lot of the first big ones post this recording starts with Summer Games Fest kickoff live June 10th, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then a lot of the big stuff will continue to roll on that Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are when most of the press conferences are, with Nintendo and Bandai Namco being some of the last big ones before EA, with both of theirs being on June 15th, with Nintendo's being at noon Eastern and Bandai Namco being at 5:25 Eastern. So that'll be definitely fun things to look forward to. I'm excited. It'll be fun in a couple weeks to come back and give what our favorite announcements were and things that maybe we are going to be seeing ourselves purchasing down the line, and then some other titles that we might keep on the back burner as depending on how good they are, or we're looking for a new title and they're on sale, I'm going to scoop it up type of thing. So unless there's any other things you want to talk about with E3, then I think we can wrap up this shorter episode for our little preview.
Yeah, no, I think this is that's about it. It's just, I'm super excited for PlayStation, but mostly for Nintendo. Never gotten to be as hyped for PlayStation though as I before as I am now. So those are going to be two that I'm really watching for. But yeah, I think it's going to be in all for all companies. I'm hoping that I'm right in predicting that this is going to be one of the biggest ones in years, because it's kind of 2 years worth of stuff. So
yeah, hopefully, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And again, all of us have our big hypes. Hopefully, at least one of us three gets satisfied with me, you, and Connor. I feel like there's something that all three of us want that we're gonna find out. I mean, Connor with wanting more about Halo, that's not really a cop out one, but that's luckily that's a good one that like he's interested to see what's gonna happen, and we're gonna get that. So. But with that, we can move on into sponsorships. So as a reminder, this podcast is sponsored by Anchor. The easiest way to make a podcast, visit anchor.fm to start your own. I know that this has been how a lot of my friends who have started podcasts similar to ours have been doing it, because of just how easy it is to use their platform. You just sign up through it, and then you can say, yeah, I want to distribute it on other platforms, and it'll quickly go through and test it to make sure it'll work. And then Anchor will post it on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and many more. Basically, any major podcasting service that you may use, they can get your podcast out on there. So definitely recommend that. And then they give you the ability to pick up sponsorships and have listeners call in if your show has that as a potential necessity. So you can do that as well. And then also, as a reminder, this podcast is sponsored by ByLightFixtures.com. Visit ByLightFixtures.com for a trusted source of quality lighting products for your business or home, because it is good to have lights in this modern day and age. As much as I do love me some good candles, I like my candles more for the scent, not as much because of the light that it can provide. But yeah, with modern lighting, there's so many things you can do, and yeah, ByLightFixtures.com has so many options that you can do for businesses, for homes, for a commercial industrial building, even exterior and security. And it's a very intuitive site to use. You can go look at whatever you like. I have it pulled up right now, and if I want to click on your standard 12 or 24 volt bulbs, I can do that. If I want to get black light or Christmas light bulbs, they have that, and they give you the prices for all of them, and there's a huge variety of it. So, thank you to BioLight Fixtures for sponsoring this podcast, and of course, I do like me some lights, and I know Johnny does as well. So be sure to check them out. And also, not a sponsor, but a big shout out to Tom Taylor of Tailored Beats for the intro and the outro of this podcast. You can follow him on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/tailored production. That's TAYLORED Productions. And also, just as we mentioned in this podcast, be on the lookout for our thoughts and recaps on E3 that'll come in these coming weeks, as we are going to be very excited, I'm sure, with a lot of these big announcements, and so we can talk about what the big things that we are the most excited about, and hopefully Connor can join us on that one. But if he has to work, then
sorry, but before I forget, I was on the newest episode of our friends podcast Title Screen.
That's true.
Our Luke's friend, Zach Perez hosts a podcast called Title Screen, and on it we talked about mostly Banjo-Kazooie, but then we talked a little bit about current gaming, and then we went back and talked more about Banjo-Kazooie. It's a podcast. You can find it on... Luke knows all the places you can find it.
It's basically the same as all of ours, because Zach is one of the podcasts. He uses Anchor. So if you are listening to our podcast on any of these podcast platforms, then you can also find Zach on his as well with Title Screen. I was on one of his episodes too a few months ago where I talked about Crash Team Racing, and so for those who may have missed me talking about that as well, as Johnny talked about what Zach does with his guests, is he talks about a video game that was the most influential to them, one of their favorite games, or one that had a big impact on them. So Zach did that with me. Zach did that with Johnny, and I'm sure he's gonna try to get Connor on soon as well, so he can be on there. But yeah, it's a great podcast that gives a lot of insight on how some of our favorite games have shaped all of us. So be sure to look out on that one, as that episode should be appearing soon on your favorite podcasting stuff. And thanks to Zach again for having us on those, because when he told me he was doing this idea, I loved it. It's a wonderful idea. So I'm excited to hear Johnny talk about Banjo. While I've heard a lot of his history with Banjo, it'll be fun to hear that again, and the conversation that does stem from it.
For sure. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. So with that, then that can wrap up this episode. So it's nice that we're getting back in the groove of things, and like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, we're going to be doing some E3 stuff, and then hopefully with all this E3 stuff, and then with people like EA spreading stuff out, we'll give a ton of content that we can have some new episodes. So be on the lookout for more episodes showing up on your feeds, and we will see you guys next time.